Welcome to Authors Ideas, a production of JR Global, an MJR production. This series is based on the recent Oxford University Press published book, Global Business in the Age of Destruction and Distraction. As a part of their Global Business series, Gaurav Rastogi joins J.R. Klein and Mahesh Joshi in examining and exploring the disruptive nature of today's world, and introduces ideas for learning how to cope with disruption and remain relevant. Here is your host, J.R. Klein.
In our last episode, we talked about the distractive and disruptive nature of change. Today, we think a little bit about how this destruction can actually be creative. Part of the destructive nature of the digital age is rethinking relationships in the new business model. There are changing relationships between customers and suppliers, between employers and employees. The fundamental nature of employment is changing. The time of corporate workforces made up of full-time employees with an expectation that they would show up every morning and be present at the office or the factory is no longer normative. Frankly, it was easier to constantly hire and fire instead of digging into the resource pool for other needed skills. That model is quickly disappearing, and in the face of this COVID pandemic, has forced businesses into the future. In today's environment, the workforce has become increasingly entrepreneurial. Companies like Upwork, Fiverr, Freelancer, and Guru have presented multiple temporary skill set focused recruitment opportunities. The cloud workforce has provided a significant resource to hypertech businesses to do everything from strategic planning to technical studies to procurement and make it possible to run business with minimal long-term employees. These systemic changes have a powerful effect on the relationship between employees and employers. In today's market, companies do not want that employee based in-house because those tasks will eventually become automated. Over the last 20 years, those positions have been outsourced, often offshore, or they've been technologized, thereby globalizing the work. For example, Apple manufacturing workforce does not work for Apple, but for other countries around the world. There is an apparent shifting of low-skill employment bases to other companies or other geographies. It is most likely that lower-skilled and repetitive jobs will be lost to automation. Loss of these positions should not be thought of as a bad thing. The observable trend is thinking of automation vis-a-vis robots as full-time employee equivalents. Machines are always predictable, and a machine can be trained in any repetitive task that does not require less predictive behavior. The rise of a digital workforce that maintains and supports the hyper-predictability of the mechanical is now evident. The less predictable realm, in the middle, is where most of the workforce will be found. It contains the corporate institutional memory. It is the human zone. The strength in traditional businesses was built by training and developing a stable, loyal workforce. The collecting global experience is destroying that strength. Its replacement is a workforce available at any time, anywhere in the world. They'll be delivering the work package quickly and precisely. The digital age has destroyed the traditional model. The age of distraction and destruction surrounds everything. Being wedded to the stability of the old model language, math, is an assurance that the path ahead will be filled with the challenge of staying relevant. The important change of thought necessary to survive is the willingness to engage in a positive way. It is a willingness to take the risk of failure, to learn, to listen to your voters or customers or employees, that can change destruction into something unique and interesting. It's difficult to find a business or an industry that has not been impacted by the distractive and destructive nature of the world. The situation itself may present a breathtaking opportunity. Any artist will testify that the greatest disruption or distraction drives the most outstanding creativity. The demolition of one way of thinking presents the opportunity for a new way of thinking. This time is packed with new ideas, ingenuity, imagination, and openness to take the risk of change. This school of time and circumstance will enable people to be creative, take risks, think better and harder, and discover creative solutions.
Thank you for listening. If you are interested in more of the author's ideas, look for their Oxford University Press published books on global business, wherever books are sold. If you are interested in contacting the authors, they can be reached at info@jrglobal.co.